I appreciate my real life students I've got this semester. So I'm introducing Mohsen Janatpour, who is a master at physics, and he's a master at math, he's a master at astronomy, and of course he's an artist. And he's just been teaching here a really long time, and all of us adore and love him dearly. And he's going to finally be back with his annual art and science and philosophy presentation. My dear beloved brother and friend, Mohsen Janatpour.
Clear?
That's all right.
All right. Do you hear me? Yes. Too loud? No. Okay. Wow. I am out of practice because last time I was up here was 2019. And since then a lot has happened. I'm going to do this a lot because the light is shining right on my face and I cannot see anybody otherwise. I'm not saluting. It's the left hand. Okay? Where do I begin? Actually, I want to begin by thanking a lot of people who have been instrumental in this event. First of all, way back there, we have our marketing director, David McLean. Are you David? Are you there? Could you say, yeah, he's right there. He has been very instrumental in these events. And he's been done quite a bit. And of course, you all already met my twin sister, Kathy Diamond. She's my sister from different parents. And but it's been a while since we have done this, so I'm a little bit out of sync, but I'll get there. Also, I want to thank my students. The students have done great job for me. They have done all the setups, they have done all the work, they have done loading the trucks and unloading the trucks, you name it. They have done quite a bit. Not only that, they even have done running errands to get masks and everything else. And it's been a very arduous task this afternoon. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Give them a hand, please. All right? Yeah. Lastly, before I start, I want to talk about somebody else. I have another twin brother on the campus who has been with me for, I don't know, a long time. And actually, I'm going to ask him to come on the stage because normally he introduces me. But this year he didn't because, well, circumstances of what's going on. So, Daryl, could you come up? Go in the middle. You're the center of attraction. Okay? Go ahead, say something, Daryl.
Well, how you guys doing?
He has been, actually, we have been doing this, God, no, since 1995. He came join me about 2000. We have been doing it ever since. Who knows? And today I want to do one thing different because he has been out of the campus. I don't want him to forget everything. And actually, the person who did this is not me, my wife. Okay? It is her idea. And she is the one who runs everything, including my life. So I am thankful to her for more than anybody else. She has done everything. Without her, I cannot paint. She is my muse. And also, she always puts me in the right direction. And she told me there's something about it. And I said, okay, Daryl, here I wanted you to open this to just remember us don't forget astronomy. Okay? Go ahead, take it out.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Hang on.
It's just a piece of paper.
Ooh.
Where is Ken Long?
Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right.
Okay, let's start and talk about a little bit about art and exactly when do we know a painting is finished. And incidentally, the painting that I'm going to show you, I put the last coat of varnish on it this morning, even though I started painting maybe about 5 years ago. So when is it finished? That's my son asked me to. And that is the title of my talk, and we have to talk about it a little bit. But before I do that, I want to do one thing, kind of test it out to see what you think. I'm going to show you 7 artwork, and I want you to look at it and tell me which one of them you think is not complete. Remember the word complete. Which one of them is not complete? I'm going to show you 7 of them, and then I'm going to show you all 7 together. I'm going to bring the house light up so that we can see by show of hands which one do you think is the finished and which one is not finished or complete in this case. So here's number 1. Take a look at it. Let's go to number 2. And here's another one. Go to number 3. And here's another one, and number 4, and 5, 6, 7. Okay, now let's look at them together, okay? Put 1. Okay, hold it right there, and I want the house light up. How many of you think that is a complete work? Raise your hand. Okay. Complete work. Okay. All right. Good. There's a good number. There's some who think, but more than 50% said it was complete. Okay. How about the second one? How many think is complete? Okay. Number of hands is about 50%, less than 50% actually. Okay. How about the next one? How about that one? Okay, that has a good majority. Very good. Not bad, not bad. Okay, how about the next one? This one. Complete, finished. Okay. It seems like pretty unanimously around 50%. At least that's what I see from here. Let's go to the next one. And this one? Oh, that one gets the Mohsen. Wow, that's pretty good. That's very good. And the next one? And let's see. Okay, that one got the least number of hands. Okay, about less than 25%. Okay, let's go to the last one. All right? Back to the 50%. All right. Now, let's go to the next one, next slide. And let's bring up the first one again now. Diego, yeah. If you look at these two, the one on the left hand is actually Christian Hansel's work, and he has done a lot of these. In fact, he does exactly the same thing over and over again in different tones. This is a yellow one. He has another one called blue tone, and so on and so forth. He does a lot of it. And today, as far as the buyers are concerned, they are considered complete. The one on the right is actually Michelangelo's set of sculptures that are called slaves. Those are complete work. He wanted them that way because he considered the slaves were trying to come out of the marble to get freed. Michelangelo was strongly believed that his sculptures are inside the marble and his job was to release them, bring them out. And in terms of this set of paintings, this set of sculptures, it was complete. That's the way it was. Now, what is complete, what is not complete, what is finished, what is not finished, we're going to talk about that. But as far as the public is concerned, this was finished. Now let's bring the other ones. Those two, the one is by Perino del Vaga, and that is actually not finished. He has started it, he did the background, and that's the way they used to do a lot of painting. They did the earth tones, and then they went and finished it. You can see the head of the baby is finished, but the rest of it is not. And that one that you see is actually Rembrandt's. The background was finished and done, the foreground was drawn, but he never got to finish that one. And now that brings me to the other two. Let's go to the next one. This one here is actually de Kooning. De Kooning considered this to be complete, finished, but he didn't like it. He had it in his studio, and Rauschenberg came around to a studio. He said, "Can I have that?" I said, "Go ahead. I don't like that painting." So he took it and showed with the next slide. He went and erased it and called it de Kooning Erased. Okay? And became a museum piece. Now that's where it is, a part of the history of art, is the de Kooning. That one doesn't exist anymore, but it exists in this. All right? And let's bring the other two. Okay, these two, actually they're not painting at all. They're my disposable palettes. Okay? I just took a picture of them because I wanted, it looked good. Okay? That one looks like there's a head with a face and doing all kinds of stuff. So I thought, oh, well, let me see if I can point to it to see what I mean. I don't know if my laser thing works or not. Let me check. No, this sucks. All right, forget it. All right, but you can see the kind of images coming out of it. I kind of looked at it, and the reason it came out that way, I was folding it to put in a trash can, and then I opened it. I thought I had forgotten something. I wanted to remember a color that I thought maybe I had forgotten, and then when I opened it up, it looked pretty good. Okay, so I said okay, and the other one is, well, it's not quite a Jackson Pollock, but you know, is something. All right, you could make your interpretations of it. You could think of it as day coming after night, tumultuous night, or something like that. I don't know. I'm making all that up. So anyway, it is not. But the problem is actually more serious than that, is that we have to ask, let me have the next slide, please. Now, to answer the questions that we want, what is complete artwork? When is the painting finished? Or in fact, for that matter, when is the research finished? Is that we have to look at the driving forces beyond the creations of work. What causes it? Why do we create things to begin with? There are many theories, and the theories of creativity goes way, way, way back from the time of, in fact, before Aristotle. And they were the ideas of why are we creative? Why some people are creative and some people are not? That question has been asked. And in recent years, and by recent years I mean maybe about last 50, 60 years or so, there are some answers that we know why some people are more creative than others. And what is that? It seems like what they call it flexibility of mind. The people who have more flexible mind, by nature they are more creative. They automatically are constantly trying to satisfy their need. And that goes not only in art, in science. If you're rigid, if your mind is rigid, you make a very good technician. But to be a true scientist, you have to deal with the flexible mind. Now, some authors actually talk about even more than that. They say that you have to have clear your mind so that you can listen to your hidden mind. Some people have talked about unconscious and so on and so forth. But generally, when we're looking at the forces, we can break the forces into 3 categories. Let's see the first one, okay? The first one is purpose-driven. And what you do, the process is such that you have a goal in mind. You have something you want to do. And if it is a research in science, you have an objective that what you want to do. You want to verify something or not verify something. Or if you're in art, you want to create a work of art. What do you want to do? And that is very important to be a decider on when a work is finished. Because if you have a purpose in mind and you have reached your purpose, you could say, okay, it's done. But there is more to it than that. The second way of looking at it is the curiosity-driven. Curiosity-driven processes are very interesting, and that happens quite often. John Constable used to say that painting is a science for which each canvas is an experiment. And that is the essence of the curiosity in art. And of course, most people are very familiar with the curiosity in science. So the idea is that here, something drives you, you're curious about something. And so generally, if your curiosity is satisfied, you're done, you're finished. Okay? And now, the next one is actually the third one. Let's see what it comes. Idea is the externally driven processes. Okay? What is externally driven? If my daughter-in-law tells my son you have to do the laundry, that's externally driven. Okay? He has to do it. Okay? Artists, scientists are no exception to that. Okay? If the boss says, listen, I want you to do this experiment and tell me what the result is, you may not be curious, you may not care about the purpose, but you do it because you were told to do it. But there are more to that. There are money incentives, there are emotional incentives. I mean, somebody who is broken-hearted, okay, it would be a good thing for him to do immediately, start painting something, especially maybe his girlfriend has left or his boyfriend has left, whoever it is. Get the lover's picture and draw a drastically ugly picture of it. That would make you feel good. So those are externally driven ideas. But now let's go to the next part. What I want to do, show me the first, okay. I want you to look at this painting. I have many different paintings that are many people are my favorite painters. But this one is one of the most favorite paintings of all time. This is the painting that later on when I talk about inspiration, it has always been an inspiration to me. This is in National Gallery in London, but it is very cool. Let me show you the next frame there. You can see something interesting. See the delicacy, the virtuosity of that artist is amazing work. It's not a big painting. It's about this big. But it is amazing work. If the details I will show you some details of it. But there is something very peculiar with that painting that made me became my favorite. The artist is not known. Nobody knows who the artist is. The only thing that know about it is that he was from he or she was from the southern Germany. That's all we know about it. And we know that her last name was Hofer, but Hofer is in Germany like Smith is in English. So it doesn't say anything. So we don't know a lot about this painting. But certain things we do know, and I think that's an amazing thing. Let me show you the other frame. Okay, let me see it. There. You see that fly? That fly has actually captured my imagination for years and years, and I have not been able to surpass that imagination yet. But I looked at it. You see the virtuosity of the artist. Look at the way he has done the cotton, and he has done everything else. But that fly on the painting, let me show you the next picture. Look how accurately that is done, all right? But the question was, why the hell he painted a fly on the painting? Okay? People were, for years and years, okay, a lot of art historians have nothing else to do, so they sit there and say, why the fly? Okay? And that has been a big question. The answer seems to be that there was an internal joke between the sitter and the painter. She wanted that fly. Because when you go to original picture, constantly you have a tendency trying to shoot a fly off the painting. That is the reaction that the artist was after. That was his purpose. To me, that is an amazing result. Yeah, this is something that you cannot do it any other way than what he did. And again, the virtuosity of it is amazing. Let me see the next frame. You see that fly in that corner? Don't you feel like to just shoo it off? And that is what it was all about. He put that, it is totally out of the place. It is not balancing. In fact, makes it not balanced at all. But you constantly think about the down fly. If it wasn't that fly, I don't know if anybody thought about that painting at all. It was a basic mannerist style of painting. That's all it was. Now, that brings me to the next part. Okay? Generally, people talk about classical stages of creativity. They talk about 5 general stages, such as preparation. Let's see, I'll show you the list. Go ahead, bring the list up. Okay, you are preparing something. What's the next one? It's basically nothing unorthodox about it. Incubation, what is the next? Let's see. Illumination. Well, I will explain some of these later, but I want you to just see right now what it is. And what's the next one? Evaluation. I'm sorry. And the last one is you verify it. It's kind of cool, but it's not the thing. There was a study done recently, and by recently I mean in 2018. So that's recent. And this was in the Descartes University in Paris. And the set of psychologists studied it, and they decided, okay, these are very nice, but let's actually look at the people who create and interview them as they create, and then decide what are the stages of creativity. And what they did, they chose 28 students, I think 17 girls and 11 men. Or boys, I don't know. Anyway, and as they were creating, they interviewed them. And they had a team of interviewers with a different background and writing down and so on and so forth. And they came up with the 17 different stages of creativity. Let me show you on the next slide. Okay? Bring it up. Those are 17. You see that starts with the immersion, reflection, research, inspiration, and so on and so forth. And the last one is a break. You're done. But I don't like that either. Okay? And my students do know well by now that I always do things my way. Okay? And always consider my way the best. It is. Okay, now let me show you why. I decided the way to remember the stages, for me, there are 15 stages for me. And by the way, these stages, when they start, it doesn't mean one is after the other. It's not sequential. Nor do they die off. One starts and the other one dies off. That's not it. At one point, you could have all of them at work. But I decided what are my stages? And I played with some words for a reason. I admit it, I could have chosen different words, but I had something in mind that makes people remember. So let me show you my stages of it. First, I start with the 5 I's, okay? Immersion, inspiration, incubation, insight, and illumination. Now, what these do is actually, this is the stage at which you are not actually creating, you are getting part of the preparation. What does that mean? Well, you're immersed in a certain thing. For example, I've been immersed in a lot of Mannerist artwork. I have been immersed in the styles of some of the masters and so on and so forth. And I have been really studying it in detail, some of the works that I'm interested in. And those has caused, some of them have automatically inspired me, like the fly painting that I showed you. And then, of course, you constantly let that go for a while in your head. And that is the part that normally my wife hates me. Because when things are incubating in my head, I'm not paying attention, and she always says, "Are you listening to me?" Man, I was. So what did I say? I don't remember. So that's a very normal thing that happens in our household. So that is not my fault. It's the fault of the incubation. Okay? Now, and of course, what follows from that is the insight. And the insight is sort of, everybody calls that aha moment. You get, oh, I got it. This is it. This is what I'm going to do. And that is normally where my work externalizes. But before we do that, now I have to clarify that. It is in my head, but to get it where it is, I have to sort of, sometimes I talk to my son about it, sometimes I talk to my wife about it, sometimes I don't talk to anybody and just lie down in bed and think about it. And that is the time that actually I get the idea gets clarified, that exactly what I want to do. Because insight is very nebulous. Okay, I know what I want to paint, but how am I going to paint it? What kind of colors I want? What kind of key I want to choose? What values I want to? All of those are totally secondary at the moment of insight. But illumination is that part of it. For me, brings that in. The next comes 4 A's. Okay, that's what I have, and I think this is cool. Okay, and I know I messed around with some of the words. For example, classically in psychology they talk about judgment. I didn't like the judgment. I said, well, let's call it assessment. That's what we call it in school anyway. We don't judge our students, we assess them, right? So that's what I decided to do. I want to call it assessment. And so you see here now is different. This time now, the arrangement is that, okay, I'm going to do 5 panels. I'm going to do it in the split key. I'm going to do the minor key in values and so on and so forth. All goes into the part of the arrangement. Then I start assembling. And by assembly, I mean I assemble it in my head at this time. Nothing is externalized yet. It is all sitting there, and I'm going back and forth. And this is the time that my wife really hates me. Okay? Because at this time, now I really don't want to be bothered. And she does, sitting there, we're sitting on the couch, we're watching TV, and she asked me, did you see what happened? I say, no, and then she's upset. Constantly that happens. But at the same time, that is part of the putting the composition together in your head, in my head. So that's what I call 4 A's. And then comes the next part, which is going to be 3. This is I wish, go ahead, show them what it is. 3 R's, okay? Now, notice that pattern. 5, by the way, is my favorite number. Those of you, a lot of you know, okay? So, 3 R's, that's the time that I reflect on my composition. And that is the time that I go, well, do I want to do it this big? Which piece goes here? Do I really want it to be that small? Or do I want to make the canvas to be 10 feet tall? Or do I want it to be 6 feet tall? And so on. Those are the times that I'm doing that kind of reflection. And then starts the realization. That's the time that I order my canvases and I start. And then comes the two, all right? The two are verification and validation. This is the time that I start painting and putting it together, and by the time I am done by the verification, do you remember how I told you my wife hates me a lot of time? Okay, when it comes to validation, that is the part that she really hates me. Because as far as I'm concerned, nobody's opinion about my art is as important as her opinion. And then when she looks at my work, I am very sensitive to her reaction. And if I see, for example, one eyebrow go down, one not go down, I know something is not right. Okay? That comes the validation. I need to get a validation from her. And then after everything is okay, then I do the last one, okay? The single one, which is a presentation. Then everybody can see it. That's okay. Those were my stages of the creative process. Now let's go to the next one. Now, in this slide, I want to show you actually what I have done. I did in last year, I think. Actually, due to the family situation and so on, I was immersed in the work. And I am going to start. Actually, I want to thank my son. He told me long ago, he said, anytime you finish the session, take a picture. I said, okay. So I have one of those super cheap cameras. I think it was $100, Canon. It's nothing like what Mike has. And but I point and shoot. So the pictures you're going to see, they're crooked, this way, that way, that way. You have to forgive for that. But I want to show you how I go through the process. Oh, incidentally, in last, I would say maybe 10 years or so, I don't sketch anymore. I directly paint on the canvas. I have in my head and I do it on the canvas. So that's what you're going to see here. So I have done the immersion. I have done, go ahead, show all 5 so that they remember. This part is done. Now I'm going to go show you one panel at a time what is happening. Now this is a painting that I started, and this was specifically done for my wife. Remember I told you about the purpose? I was doing that specifically for my wife. Her birthday was coming up, and I wanted to do that because of our family situation and so on. I wanted to do this painting. So that is the starting canvas that I started, and I put a background. It is about 48 by 36 canvas, and I started doing that. And then show the next one. Now, I am putting the main characters that I want in that painting. So I put the big tree there, and you see the supporting role by the small tree. That's all coming from my head saying, okay, what it is that I want to be in there. Show me the next one. Now, part of the tree is painted now. I know what kind of tree I want to have, because that kind of tree is very common in DC in fall, and I wanted to have that kind of feel to it. So the next one shows now the tree is getting more support. Okay, now I am putting it, and now I am putting the characters in, but you can see I am doing one side, but you see one in the middle that cover up. I did something there, I didn't like it, I erased it. That was it. You never see that part again. But it was there. On the bottom, in the middle, you see that the smudge. That was a figure there, and I wanted to get rid of it, and I did. So let's go to the next one. Now, I got that figure and put it way back there. And that's my son, Dustin, is way back there, over there. And in front, I have my other son who's in DC with his dog over there. And on the other side, I put my wife Lynn and I walking on that pathway. I knew I have in mind, I have a purpose in this painting where I'm going with it. So let's show the next one. Okay, here now, I have still, now I have added some background support. Let's go to the next. Now you can see I have painted my house, which is on that side. So my wife and I are walking toward my house. My son is there. My other son is here, and his dog is there, and there's a pathway and photographs. And then let's go to the next slide. Now, I am adding more to the painting, to the quality of it and how I want it to be done, adding leaves and so on and so forth. And you see the beginning of my other son's house on that side. Okay? And let's go to the next one. Okay, now this house is a little bit more pronounced. The figures are there. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now the picture is coming a little bit more together. And I could say at this point I'm done. But no, I wasn't. It's not doing what I want to do. Let's go to the next one. Okay? Next one coming up. Now is almost there. I am sort of happy with it, but there is something bugging me. Remember that word. You see, there is a line behind my wife and I walk into our house, and that line was bugging me. But here's the thing. The painting was bugging me for a long time before I decided, that line is the problem. So, got rid of it. Show the next one. Now I am happy with it. The painting is done, ready to go. I send it to the photographer and I told them, go ahead, it's finished, go ahead, copy it. So the next one is the finished work. And there is the actual painting, and the title of it was From Coast to Coast. And that was the reason for the two houses. My son's house is in Baltimore, and our house is in California, in San Mateo. So that's why this painting was about. Having said that, now I'm ready to tell you about the main topic of tonight. Let's go start the next slide. To begin with, people use this term. I did that on purpose tonight quite a bit, to show you that people use the word complete, finished, done interchangeably. And they are not. There are three different words, and that is a very important part. So to begin with, we have to ask, when is an artwork complete? The second question would be, when is an artwork done? And the third one is, when is an artwork finished? Those are three questions that we have to answer. And let's start with the first one. When is an artwork is complete? The answer, never. Is never. There is a reason for that. Why it can never be complete. To see that, let's look at the definition of complete. Okay? What is it? Okay? What is complete? Let's look at it. To say something is complete means it is whole. Nothing can be added to it. It's all there. Right? An artwork, you could always add to it. Okay? So the complete is not the good word for it. But more importantly, complete also means perfect. And that's the important part. And sometimes it means absolute. And in fact, you cannot add something to an item to something that is complete and make it more complete. It doesn't make sense, because if you add something to it and it becomes complete, that means before that it was not complete. Okay? So you can neither add or subtract from something to make it more complete. And the reason I use the subtract is very important. Painting is an additive process. You keep adding to your canvas. A sculpture is actually a subtractive process. You're constantly take away from this material. So that's the reason I have it there. But that's the way it goes. Now, let's go to the next one. If you add something to a quantity trying to make it more complete, you actually make it incomplete. That's the bottom line. Because if you add something to it, it was not complete either before, or if it is complete now, your definition is wrong. So let's go to the next one. When is the work done? And this is a very important. Remember the painting that I showed you? I said I had something in mind that for painting that I want to do for my wife. Something is where painting is done and artwork is done when the artwork actually brings out the vision of the artist had in mind. Okay? That is the important one. If it captures the artist's vision, the work is done. But it's not finished. Because there's difference. Let's go to the next part. When is an artwork finished? Da Vinci used to say, an artwork is not finished, it's only abandoned. And he did a lot of that. God knows he abandoned a lot of artworks because he was master procrastinator. I am well known to be procrastinator, but Da Vinci, my God, he sometimes procrastinated 23 years on a painting. That's quite a bit. But there are some people said that he had the ADHD, that's why he was the way he was. And he had a lot of incomplete or unfinished work. But now, when is a work finished? So let's see the statement that I have. My answer is this, is that if the work is done, and if you can stomach all the faults that you see, then you're finished. Okay? That is the key to it. There is no one can look at my artwork to see as many flaws in it as I see. And in fact, that's true for any artist. My eyes on one canvas for over a year, every inch of it. So I know the flaws, I know what are there. But there are some flaws that are forgivable. So if I get to a point that I can forgive that, then I'm finished. And that is what most artists think that. In fact, Picasso used to say, to finish a work is killing it. And he has a point, because you can really overdo it, and that destroys the work. So my point is that the work is finished when you can understand your mistakes. You're done. Now, let's go to the next one. There are different views of finished artwork. In fact, there are three views. One of them I'm going to leave out, which is the audience that you were doing at the beginning. But generally, there is institutional criteria for a finished work, and there is an artist criteria for the finished work. Up to the beginning, well, actually, about 1905 or 1906, and in fact, before Right Impressionists came to the market, the only work that was considered finished was if the institution said so. In fact, most of the Impressionist work were rejected, and they were rejected in a museum that displayed rejected works. And of course, that's what the museum was called. So, for Impressionists, artists decided what the work was finished. Prior to that, actually institutions decided what was the finished work. They had a written set of criteria that if you were going to judge a piece of work to put in a museum, in a gallery, you had to have a certain criteria for a finished work. And in fact, at one time, I think it was in England, they had a day of varnishing. The artists got together and they varnished their paintings. One of the guys who really went against that a lot was Turner. Turner used to go, even on the day of varnishing, start changing things on his paintings that he was not supposed to. So the point I'm trying to make that you have to keep in mind, and since 1906 onward, that idea of institutional notion of finished work has died off, thank God. Okay, now artist decides when the work is finished, and most artists, they have different criteria for finished work. Let me show you what I have here. This painting that you see is one of the later works of Cézanne, and is one of the paintings that I'm in love with. Okay, it's as far as the institution of the Paris was concerned, this was horrible. This has to go back. This is just a sketch to start a painting. But as far as Cézanne was concerned, this was complete, or better yet, it was finished, done. He liked what he saw, and he presented it at that. So here's my last saying for the idea of when is an artwork finished. I used to have an art teacher from Chile. His name was Luis Busta. He passed away. He said that, when you saw your work and you like it, break your brush so you don't do anything else to it, because you ruin it. And so a lot of time artists keep going till they fall in love with what they have done. And as soon as that happens, they're finished, because all the blemishes become tolerable. Now, Degas, the next one, was one that he liked to really be sketchy. He liked the sketchy work to be, this is one of his later works, and you see, he never liked to finish anything to the point that institutions wanted. He considered this to be completely done. And in fact, there is a very refreshing quality to his work, especially of the ballet dancers, and that could only be done if you keep it in sketch. And in fact, there were some ballet dancers were done with the silks and tunics and so on. You look at it after 5 minutes, you get tired of it. But with this, you don't get tired, because you can, when the work is like that, your own imagination can come into it too, and that's helpful. Now, having said that, let me give you another interesting example. I'm running a little bit late, maybe 5-10 minutes. Let me go to the next. I want to give you two examples of two unfinished works. I will go fast, okay, guys? I know you're hungry. There are cookies upstairs. You just have to wait. All right. Let me show you what I have here. Two people that I want to talk about is Da Vinci, and the other one is Gilbert Stuart. Let me show you these two. And I'm going to start with Da Vinci's because everybody knows Mona Lisa. Let's look at that. Okay? The Mona Lisa painting that everybody has seen except me. I have just seen the pictures. Let's see it. Is it right there? It is considered by the standard of the time the completely unfinished, and it is. But to begin with, the name of it originally was not Mona Lisa. Let me show you what the name was. It was Mia Donna Lisa, my lady Lisa. And then people got lazy and they dropped the I, A, and D and became Mona Lisa. And then it got into America, it became Mona Lisa. Okay? And that's what it stayed. Now, what is incomplete about it? Let me go. You can see the background. Let's go to the next picture. You see, for example, the eyebrows are missing. But that is not what made it incomplete work. Okay? The eyebrows are missing because Da Vinci had a habit of using cheap paint. And over time, those has gone away. And restorers didn't do a good job of fixing it. But how do we know it is not? Let me show you on the next slide. You see, let's look at the picture of Mona Lisa. This is an unfinished work of Mona Lisa. Another finished work of Mona Lisa by Da Vinci, the Benci portrait. Let's see that. You see, this is what considered finished. This is the one, and if Mona Lisa were to be complete, it should have been kind of that kind of finish on it, which is not. Now let me go to the next one. Let's look at the dollar bill. You all, probably that is the most common portrait that everybody has seen. Okay? So what I want to do, I want to talk about that. Let me go to the next slide. Okay? And I'm going to get that. Let's see it. Where is it? I took that and I just turned it around. Okay? I just took the head and just horizontally with the computer turned it around. Now, show me the portrait. And it looks like coming from that. Actually, it is not coming from that. Okay, that is the most commonly known portrait of George Washington, but this is not from that. For one thing, you can see the shadow under the neck there, and the expression of the eyes are so different. So where does that come from? Let me show you. Let's go to the next one. Let's get the dollar bill. Let's get to the next part. Okay, next picture. Okay, I took that over here. It was coming from here, from this portrait. Okay, now let's get that portrait and turn it around. Okay, and now let's show it where it comes from. It comes from that painting, and it is not finished. Now, why isn't it finished? What do you think?
Did he die?
He loved this painting, and he didn't finish it because he loved it. Now why? Because he was commissioned to do this painting, and he knew if he finished it, he has to give it to the lady who sponsored it. So he left it unfinished, so he kept it. So my point is that sometimes an artwork is finished for other reasons beyond the art itself. A lot of works of Mondrian are unfinished because he just died. He didn't finish them. So this is what it was. Let's go to the next picture. I was going to go a lot of detail into that painting, which is Beyond Apocalypse. I did because this is one of my favorite paintings I did. Because I used the techniques of Da Vinci and everybody else that I knew at the time. And I did that about almost 25 years ago. So, and I'm not going to go there because I'm running out of time, because I want to talk about something else. The same here. The paintings here that I want to talk about, if you want to, after the session, I can explain it to you. But let's go to the next part. I have invented a technique called Simvisio. Is the multi-panel presentation of work, and let's go ahead through it and see what it is. It's basically, I made up that word and we trademarked it so that nobody can tell us we cannot use it anymore. And what it is, I'm going to go through it a few kind of fast, is a multiple panel work, and I will show you what it is about. That totality makes one painting. Let's go to the next one, okay? Simvisio to visual art, as far as I'm concerned, is like a symphony is in music. Or better yet, Simvisio is a paragraph where each panel is a sentence. Each sentence makes a statement, but as a whole, the paragraph makes a different kind of statement. That's the idea behind the Simvisio. Let's go to that. And in fact, let's skip that. Let's skip that. And you can, skip that too. Forget about all that. Okay. This composition of Simvisio is very important because the way it works out, I start with the left panel, that's my signature key, and then I develop the painting throughout to the nest and finishes at the end. I will show you in a minute. Let's go to the next one. Forget it, I said that. Let's go. And that too. The idea is that each panel by itself is complete, like a sentences, and then together they make a bigger statement, and that was important. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is the Simvisio that I want to show. Actually, this is, you remember Kathy? This is her garden. Well, sort of, okay? This is her garden if you get 5 years into one painting. Because from time to time, I go to Kathy's garden, she shows me what is growing, and I take pictures. And so some of these plants grow at some times of the year, some of them grows at different time of the year, and the fences are at different places, everything is there. But the flowers are Kathy's, okay? All of them. And before her, I had no idea what the name of some of these plants. I didn't know what a Clarkia was. I learned that all later. So this is the first panel, introductory panel. Let's go to the next one. This is the second panel. Now, in this panel now, Clarkia is dominant. You can see it at the center. And then what and lupins are supporting at this point. And there is one key anchor, and that is this Clarkia in this corner. I want you to keep that in mind. And then go to the next one. Now, this is the center panel. It has the oval center that you can see that goes around there, and there are two towers supporting it, and secondary towers of flowers supporting that. And then let's go to the next one. And this one is the fourth panel. And now you can see what is dominating, starting to come in, is the poppies of different type. So let's go to the last one, and this is where you exit the garden, and you see the poppies and everything else. And again, you see. Now let's see it all together at once. Okay, this is what you see when you put them together, and then suddenly you see something different emerges from her garden. That's the idea behind the Simvisio. Now, a few years ago, in 2019, I painted my dog, let's go to the next one, who passed away in 2015. And that was my Simvisio 13. And I showed it in 2019, and when I showed it here, I looked at it. Let's see it. That was the painting that I had done. There were several things about it. Remember that as long as you can tolerate, the work is finished. I tolerated it at home, but when I put it together here, I couldn't tolerate it. So I went back to work, and I painted the whole thing again. All right? And tonight, I want to unveil that painting for you. Okay? Go ahead, take the screen up. And get the light on it. Good. Great. This is my Simvisio 13, done again. Now, there were parts of it that I was not happy with, but unfortunately with Simvisio, you cannot just change one thing, because that affects everything else you see later. And this is what I did, and since I am running late, I stop at this point and let you ask me any questions you have. Thank you. Thank you. Pardon me?
What were you unhappy with? What did you...
What was I unhappy with? Well, several things. To begin with, the quality of the fur on the dog was not correct at all. For example, the cloud formations are completely different because on the previous one, when the cloud was here, it stopped me from moving here. The transition was not right. This dog was too far to one side. I had to move the dog a little bit this way. I had to move the dog completely about, I think, 2.5 inches, okay? Because the separation from here to here was fighting with this tree. The cherry tree was actually very amateurish on the last one. And here I had to finish that. That was the song to start. And again, the quality of the roads were a lot different. It's completely different roads. So that's why. Anything else?
Honestly, I like those drawings of your dog.
Pardon me?
I like those drawings, dog drawings. Those are so cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I know it's hard to do it.
Yeah, this was my dog Magnum that passed away. And then now I have a new dog called Cisco who's taken his place. Very amazing dog. Shepherds or something else.
I have a question.
Yes.
You don't have microphones, so
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
why? So what made you decide this painting was finished? And trust me, that is not the hardest part of all of this, you guys. 100 times he said, this is when she's really mad, this is when she's really mad. I want to know now why this time is finished.
Well, because when I look at it, I want you to look at the transitions that was happening. Can you, Diego? Can you bring the screen down a little bit and show the last slide? That would be an interesting experiment. Good, stop. Okay. Now, when I look at a painting like that, I want you to look at just the cloud. For example, look at the clouds in this painting. I cannot show it to you. And remember what you see up there. And look over this fourth panel over here. You see the leg of the dog to be on the road? You see that here the dog has moved is not on the road anymore? Do you see that? Now, why am I thinking this is finished? Can I change anything else? Yeah, but the flaws that I see I can live with. I know there are things I can change, but is the point of diminishing return. I can change something, but it doesn't change that much drastically. The leg that went from there to here, that leg was dangling in that picture up there. The leg here is integrated. Do you see that? At least in my eyes, that's what I see. And the same is true over here. When I look at over here, but some of you cannot see that. You see how that road cuts off over here instead of giving you the Simvisio effect that goes together? Or look over here even more so. Look at the way this road continues to that as compared over there that it dies off. It's not, suddenly it's not there anymore. Do you see the differences? They're drastic. The way this field comes to that field, compare that to the way that field is over there. Those are the things that bugged me, that I needed to change. But I don't see anything else that I want to change.
In your A's and I's in your original explanation for your process, where does the change from the original version to the final version, what's the strongest influence of the A's and I's?
Oh, there are two parts to that. If you go to that, one part of it, which is very important, is the assessment. And that assessment comes in continuously. Next to that is agreement. If I assess something and I cannot agree with it, I have to change it. That's where it comes in.
That's what happens.
That's what happens. Yeah.
Everything is in
Speak louder, please.
everything in the bottom, I could see right off the map. Right
Yeah.
How everything in each panel from up to bottom flowed into the next panel. And it just gave such a sense of peacefulness and beauty.
Exactly.
Much more.
That was what I was saying, the transitions were not right. Okay, that's what I saw the first time I put that on the stage. I said, that's not acceptable to me. I had to do it. Yes?
How do you decide how many pieces to create for the effect and how to position them for the presentation?
Remember I had arrangement in one point? That is a part that you really do a lot of mental gymnastic, okay? In your mind, try to see what it should be. With my Magnum, I wanted to see his youth as the center of his life. He was so happy there. And then I moved from this side to how he felt in the field. You can take this one up a little bit so they can see it. Diego? Yeah, thanks. So what I was looking at here now, I was looking at him being in the meadows and enjoying it. And here, actually, the background that I took that picture from, I did not, unfortunately, I did not have a lot of picture of Magnum to work with. So I studied a lot of his videos when he passed away. And a lot of background of that is that my son used to take him to the Sugarloaf Park area, so on. So the background is made up by me, but like this patch of thing comes from Highway 92 that I saw on the road that I liked. So the point I was trying to make is that once I walk around, that is a lot of time that, remember the incubation time that I told you about? I told you my wife gets mad at me. Okay? We are on the road and I see a patch of weed. I am concentrating on it and she is telling me something about, and I don't know what she's saying. And then she asked me, aren't you listening? I said, yes, I am. And she says, no, you're not. So, and then lately she used to let go, but now she asked me a question. So I know I have to listen. So that is the time that I get that. This cherry tree here, I looked at thousands of trees. In fact, I took a picture of the one in the parking lot at CSM right in front of our office. And I studied it and so on. And in other words, I have an idea what I want, but I'll walk through the neighborhood and try to figure out what it is that I really want to see. Yeah, Kathy.
Wouldn't you say that done and finished are in the eyes of the artist and complete is kind of in the eyes of the observer?
I think I skipped it and I said something that said, actually it's not correct to say when an artwork is finished. The correct thing to say is when artist is finished with the work. Okay? And that is what happens, is the artwork is never really finished. And a lot of people say that too, is that the work is not finished, you are finished with it. That's what it amounts to. And so, is it in the eyes of the artist? Yeah, of course it is. And now, remember I had the idea that you start with a purpose or curiosity or social factors, okay? Now, those criteria, once they're made, then the work is done. But it's not finished yet because the quality has to be there. In the top picture, the quality is not there. That's why it was not finished. Okay? Yes?
Did you know, or when, is there a way that you know in your head, okay, I'm going to start from left to right, and this is the first panel that I'm going to do?
I know that Simvisio composition is from left to right, always. The question is, what painting do I want to put on the first one? Actually, I worked with this one. It's hard for some of you to see. I went through several different poses of him that I wanted to put in there. And in my head, I put it there, and I look at it, and I say, nah, it stops me. So what I do, which dog goes in which panel, I shuffle them till it is right.
So did you start with that one?
No, in painting-wise? Painting-wise, once I have decided what I'm going to do, I start anywhere. In this case, I started with the center panel. I started with this one. This figure is the one that I did first, because that was my attention.
And did you finish that panel first before you move to the next one?
No. I do the dogs first, and I do one thing at a time. It's a lot of little did. You can't do the dogs first because, as this lady over here was talking about the way they flow together, if you try to do the one panel completely and then you get to the next one, you get stuck. You can't do that. So, in fact, in one Simvisio, I did that. I did 2 panels and stopped. I have those 2 panels. I couldn't go anywhere with it. Yes? Yes?
You still have the original Simvisio, or did you paint over it?
The originals are under this. Well, actually, there are several originals under this. Okay, because in terms of clouds, some of the clouds I did 10 times till I was happy with it. So the center clouds that you see, literally I did it 10 times till I said, okay, this is the right cloud.
That's what I would really.
That's the way it goes. But eventually it comes out right. But at the same time, you have to live with it. That's the bottom line. If you look at it and it doesn't look right, work at it. If you look at it, it looks right, forget what anybody else thinks. You're done. You're finished. Now, in this painting, when I was painting this, I was at the studio of Louis Busta, who passed away, the Chilean artist. And I was painting this, and he was very religious, by the way. And I was painting this, and I was doing the chalice over here, and then he comes to me and said, Mohsen, don't think you're painting. I said, what do you mean? I am painting. Here's my brush. He said, no, God is holding your hand. Otherwise, you cannot paint like that. I said, okay. But as I was finishing this part, and he comes to me and he says, he walks away a little bit. I love that gold. I said, me too. He said, don't touch it anymore. That's his line. He says, don't touch it anymore. And sometimes you can ruin a painting by over-touching it. As Picasso said, you can kill it. Okay? Thank you very much.